We will open up to some question and answer. We are doing okay for time, but I'm absolutely going to abuse my power as chair first of all and kick off with a couple of questions, if that's okay. Firstly, to all the panellists, as members of Parliament, and I see there's others in the room and elected members, from the discussions tonight, what do you think our immediate priorities should be for myself and my colleagues, and what should we focus on? My second question, probably to everyone, but mainly to Sarah. This week we've obviously heard about the introduction of identity cards. Now, regardless of how we feel about digital identities, how do you think we can guarantee that sex-based data is used accurately? And what problems do you envisage if this policy is to come forward? Two easy ones to start with.
Yeah. So who goes first?
I'll go with you, Dee.
Oh, I'll go first. Right, okay.
Finish first.
Well, I would say it's a really simple one. LGB, lesbians, gays and bisexuals, we want to be consulted. We want a seat at the table where there's any discussion about anything that involves us or young LGBT people. And that includes the conversion practices bill. It includes puberty blocker trials, which I don't think should be happening at all. It includes issues around cross-sex hormones. It includes education. What are we teaching young people? So that's what I'd say. Please get us a seat at the table. Thank you.
Are we okay to move back to these microphones now that everyone's made their contributions? Can you hear us at the back?
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Excellent. I would just say, from the point of view of MPs and what you do now, don't waste time arguing about the law. It's settled. We know what the law is. Just get on with it. EHRC guidance is coming out. Just tell public bodies they have to obey it.
Yeah.
The first, frankly, laughably easy question. Can't you hear me? It's just as well. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's
okay. All right. In response to the first question, what I would say certainly as far as MP, no, just actually any Labour activist or representative, I would say bear in mind that the introduction of further criminal offences as proposed in respect of transgender identities, so that is hate crime or conversion practices, will effectively involve asking juries and magistrates to make political decisions, because you will decide whether something amounts to hostility on the basis of somebody's gender identity in accordance with where you are in this discussion, where you are in this debate. So I don't think that misgendering somebody is demonstrating hostility to their transgender identity. I don't think that dead naming somebody is demonstrating hostility towards them. Other people will. If you are asking juries and magistrates to make political decisions, you are stepping outside the proper remit of the justice system. You are effectively, my position is you're effectively subverting what that system is intended for. Digital ID. Yeah, sure. I'm going to pretend I don't have a position on this. So what I would say is this. In fact, Susan and I were talking about it earlier, and she said blockchain, which I think is ingenious. I think that it is essential that sex-accurate data is always recorded on any ID. The argument is going to be Article 8. The argument that is always advanced in an attempt to create incursions into sex-based rights, protections and organisation is Article 8, okay, is the privacy of trans-identified people. Article 8 is what's called a qualified right. Article 3, which protects you from inhuman and degrading treatment, is an absolute right. So Article 8 is to be respected other than for prescribed lawful purposes. If Parliament passes a law that makes mandatory the carrying or possession of digital ID, that will be a prescribed lawful purpose. So the Article 8 argument will fail, because if it is Parliament's intention that we will use digital ID to ensure that a person remains who they were for the purposes of, for example, migration and work and health, there is no reason at all why that consistency cannot be maintained on a digital ID. So if somebody changes their gender, changes their name, etc., there needs to be a marker on that digital ID indicating that that is what has happened, so that people cannot use those freedoms to escape.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open it up to questions. It would be useful for anybody that does have a question if you could tell us your name and what organisation you're representing. If you can keep, if there's someone particular in the panel you would like to ask the question to, if you can also identify that. I'd also like to have the panellists be able to sum up for a couple of minutes at the end of today, so I'm hoping to wrap up about 6:20, and also there is food and drink at the back of the room, so there's also an opportunity, if you don't ask a lot of questions, that we can have some food and drink at the back as well. But I don't want to curtail that debate, so I'll take them in rounds of 3 to begin with, please. There's a woman at the back there with a red dress on. Can I borrow your pen? Yourself, and this woman here afterwards. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just introduce myself. I'm Amina Ibrahim. I'm a councillor in Haringey, and I suppose my question is more of a political one in terms of how do we regain the political ground on this as a party where the far right is defining it for us, and you know, even though the party has been dragged kicking and screaming to a position that a lot of us are far more comfortable with, that doesn't mean that actually the public think that we have changed our views on it, and I think that poses a big challenge to us, because I think ultimately that, you know, we've got parties, you know, we've got people who've left the Labour Party claiming to be to the left of us, who are defining what we view as sex-based rights as socially conservative. And how do we redefine, actually talk about where those people and the people that are still within our party with those attitudes, which are just extreme radical liberal positions rather than socialist positions, and how do we reframe this, or not reframe it, actually gain the ground and say, actually, we're a democratic socialist party, our founding principles are socialism, which is a materialist ideology, and it is clearly defined within the material world, where we've lost that debate a bit and we need to regain it. How do we do that?
Thank you. Gentleman here at the front, Angie.
Hello, Scott Turnbull, Treasurer of Labour LGB. My question is for Sarah. All the trans rights activists are now pinning their hopes on the Supreme Court verdict going to the European Court of Human Rights. My question is, one, will it even be heard? Because someone was talking to me about, remember the Bakers case in Northern Ireland, and the gay guys there were rejected from even being heard because from the initial start of the case they didn't mention we're going to take this to the European Court. So they just threw it out. They didn't even bother considering it. Is that the case here? And if not, what chance have they got?
Thank you. There's a woman just in the middle over there.
My name's Linda Smith. I'm a city councillor from Oxford. I'm absolutely dismayed at the decision of the Labour Party to cancel Women's Conference. I just thought that was worth mentioning here and, asking what your thoughts were on that. I mean, so they've said it's because they're awaiting guidance, so that they can know who a woman is to allow them to attend the conference. Do you think the guidance will sort that out for the Labour Party? In the meantime, is there anything in the publication you referred to about the rights of lesbians to associate freely together, that could be useful and, sent to the Labour Party NEC for them to help organise Labour Party Women's Conference next year?
Thank you very much. Who will we start? Sarah ran off. Okay, we'll maybe start with Dee then.
Oh, blimey.
Questions.
Well, I can't answer the one for Sarah, so I'll leave that to her. I think the one I choose to answer is the last one, about the Women's Conference. I think the main thing is that the Labour Party just has to accept the law. I mean, we live in a democratic country. If you can't accept the law, then we're not a democracy anymore. So the Labour Party's got to really accept that, and the government's got to implement it. And if they do that, then we'll have a women's conference. It's really got to be that simple. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'm just being told, in the audience, or the speakers? Okay, all right, okay. If you can stand up when you're speaking so people at the back can see you, but I think you'll be picked up by being heard. Susan, maybe to answer some of those questions. Thank you.
Yeah. I think, ultimately, I don't think people should ever be scared off by what other political parties, especially parties like Reform, are up to. Because actually, Reform don't understand this at all, and they get it really, really wrong. And the fact is that women's rights have come from the left. They really have.
Yeah.
And ceding ground now is probably the stupidest thing any political party could do, because it needs to be recaptured. It is about material class analysis. It is about understanding equality. It is about ensuring that men and women are on the same footing in the world. And that has to be preserved and that has to be protected as something that the left is comfortable about talking about. Because some of the most powerful speeches I hear now in Scotland do come from the Conservative Party. I've got to say, the women in the Scottish Parliament. But recently we had Pauline and Jackie came to our rally from Scottish Labour, and they were absolutely magnificent. And I'm so glad that that voices are coming back through from Scottish Labour. I'd just like to say very quickly on the appeal to. Our KC says, A, he doesn't think they're going to take it. They might take it. If they take it, it'll take years. And I do not like the fact that a lot of people, including the Scottish Government, are sitting there going, we have to wait and hear what Europe says. Well, that could be a decade away. So no, the law is the law now, and get on with it.
I kind of don't really need to. I don't really need to add to that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that I think it's probably clutching at straws, and I think that it is a manoeuvre to try to find an excuse not to observe the law as the law should have been observed for the last 15 years. I hear an awful lot of rhetoric about it, about how it's going to blow the transphobic Supreme Court judgment wide open. Although, interestingly, these devastating arguments are not something that anybody wants to share publicly. So they must be amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. The reality is we're back to Article 8. And Article 8 is, because it's a qualified right, it is one of the rights in which a jurisdiction's, a member state's margin of appreciation is very, very wide. I don't know of any European authority that says that men have the right to, men who say that they're women have the right to be treated in every respect as women, not least because when you start doing that, you then come up against Article 3, which is obviously the protection from inhuman and degrading treatment. You cannot destroy Article 3 with anything, least of all Article 8. So if that's the best they've got, it's not going to work.
Thank you. And I'll take another round of questions if there's more. Maybe a hands up of his man here, and then on to Maya, and another one. Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Dermot Kehoe, I'm a councillor in Stevenage. I'm a trustee of LGB Alliance. First of all, just to welcome Dee and Labour LGB to the platform. It's a really great development this year, another sign, I think, of how the party's changing. So, well done. Thank you, Dee. My question's for Sarah. I don't think you've got enough time on conversion practices, which banning them just sounds like a really good thing. And I'm not, the arguments why we shouldn't do that, I don't think you fully expand on that. I'd like to know a bit more why you think that's a problem.
Okay.
Yes, just take 3 at a time. Maya and Fran.
I am Maya Forstatter from Sex Matters. I've just been reflecting. I was here last year in this room, and just how different it feels. What a game changer the For Women Scotland judgment has been, and the genius and the tenacity of For Women Scotland in bringing it. And I kind of wanted to answer the question about priorities from Sex Matters' point of view, in case you're wondering, because we're basically suing everyone at this point. We think the risks that we face now are threefold. One is that public bodies and private employers and service providers just don't follow the law. That's what we're seeing right now. We don't think that's a tenable position. Between us, we're going to take some scalps, and I think they will come in line with the law. The second one is harder, and that is they get rid of women's single-sex services altogether. Which is what they did with Women's Conference this year. They say, we know it's lawful to have a single-sex, women-only service, but it doesn't meet our values, as Stonewall said. And there are political and legal levers against that, using the public sector equality duty. I think one of the genius things about the For Women Scotland judgment was it wasn't about toilets. It was about the whole Equality Act, and that starts with the public sector equality duty, the duty of the state to protect and to advance equality between men and women, and then what that means in terms of organisations taking positive action for women, not just the fact that you have toilets because men wee differently than women. So the second big risk is that they remove single-sex services, and one of the outfits that we're suing at the moment is the City of London over the Hampstead Ponds. And that's not because the Hampstead Ponds are the most important single-sex service, but they're a very clear one. They have a single gate and a single rule, and one of the things the City of London is saying was, well, maybe we'll just get rid of it. I don't think the women of Hampstead are going to like that. And then the third one is that the law is clear, but we're not able to speak about it, and we're not able to have clear data. So if you're still afraid of being reported to the police for misgendering, for saying that someone is male or someone is female, then you can't enforce and follow the law. Where we want to get to is computer says no. It's just really clear. It's in the data. You have clear rules. You have clear ID. You're not leaving it up to an 18-year-old on the gym reception to try and follow this thing. I think we will get there with all of those three. I do have a question.
That was my question.
Yes, I do have a question. Sorry. Where will we be this time next year?
Where will we start? We'll start.
Not me.
You know, something down there. Susan, maybe, in terms of.
Where will I be next year? Hopefully on a beach somewhere with a cocktail. I haven't had a holiday in about 6 years. There can be a debate, and I think if it's laid before Parliament, if nothing happens 40 days, then it just passes into the realm of the living. I think there are some people who are going to be demanding a debate, and I'm not quite sure what the mechanisms are for ensuring that happens. But if it happens, I think it could be a bit ugly. So, again, it kind of behoves probably the government to keep a tight rein on what their own members of Parliament are going to do about that. And what's the other one?
Maya's question about where you're going to be. So you're going to be on a beach, and then there was the other question around, about conversion practices.
Sarah, yes.
I'm going to go over to the lectern.
Okay. So on conversion practices
On
specifically,
conversion practices, yes.
and the other questions as well. Thank you.
Because brilliantly, I've actually got a list here that I meant to read out to you, but I was so busy wanging on about other stuff that I completely forgot what's really important. Yes. Is this close enough? Oh, you love my lovely voice as much as I do. Okay, so I've got 9 points. You asked. Okay, so the nature of the prohibition is not about the conduct itself, because abusive conduct that we tend to associate with conversion practices is already criminal. All of the iterations that I have seen previously, previous attempts to introduce this ban, focus on intention. So you have criminalisation of intention. You have gender identity which can't be defined beyond the subjective, right? It's neither verifiable nor falsifiable as a characteristic. So the gravamen, if you will, the punch, the most serious aspect of a conversion practice is what amounts to attempting to change somebody's mind. When it comes to gender identity, it is attempting to change somebody's mind, because you are trying to persuade somebody that their belief is wrong. And when you start to think about that, you realise that that is absolutely the stuff of democracy and the marketplace of ideas, that we all spend our days trying to persuade other people that their belief is wrong. Which means that, on to number 4, criminalising an attempt to change a person's mind is anti-democratic. It entails a gross breach of rights to freedom of conscience and freedom of expression. 5th, the privileging, and I think I mentioned this, of one belief above all others in law creates a state-mandated ideology, promoting further division and hostility in an ongoing public debate, which I think we can all agree is pretty spicy already. As I said, opponents of this prohibition will describe it as a new blasphemy law, and that description is too accurate to be kind of persuasively dismissed. All sides in the debate, but in particular the sex realist side, will be exposed to a heightened risk of vexatious, politically driven complaints. Allegations, as I mentioned, will be decided according to the political beliefs of a jury, not according to the evidence. and that will strip an accused person of the right to a fair trial on exactly the same evidence, on exactly the same assessment of the evidence by two juries, one in Bradford, one in Brighton. A person will get different verdicts. That cannot be justice. The absence of clarity and predictability will render the prohibition impracticable, unfair, socially divisive, incompatible with ECHR, and a burden on public resources. And will almost certainly be the subject of a declaration of incompatibility with Articles 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and probably 14 of the Convention. If you want to know more about it, on Labour Women's Declaration website, there is an advice that I have written about this if you really fancy getting deeply legal about it.
And for Dee, over to Dee for...
Okay. Well, where would I like to be next year? Well, I think one of the things that has been quite shocking is also that the Gay Men's Network had their venue cancelled for their conference next year, and we wonder why that is. Also, some gay men had a venue pull out from, they wanted to have a meeting, a social gathering, and they had that cancelled because they were gay men. So what I'd really like to think is that next year, lesbians and gay men can go out and have venues and have a social life and have friends without other people regarding them as being transphobic, hateful bigots. We are who we are. We should be accepted. So I'd love to see that next year. And what else have I got here? That's it. I'll leave that. And the divorce. The divorce. Yeah, just to say, I'd love LGB without the TQ+.
We've got a final round of questions. I think, yeah, we've got 5 minutes and then we'll do some summing up. If that, are you saying no? On my clock it says 16 minutes past. There's one hand up over there, so maybe just take that one if there's no more.
Hello, Lenny Cornwall, Richmond and Northallerton, CLP. I work for the NHS, and my trust has introduced a new patient experience questionnaire. And like all these questionnaires, if you go through it, it asks you for your demographic data. So it asks, what is your gender? And then it goes to, is this gender the same that was assigned at birth? So I need to say I've kind of put an objection to that. But presumably when you get these forms that are asking for demographic data, they're looking for protected characteristics. Is that the purpose of it? In which case, is it a fair objection to say you should be asking for sex rather than gender? You should be asking for gender reassignment rather than is your gender the same as assigned at birth?
For brevity, I guess we'll go Sarah, Susan, and then Dee, and we'll give a couple of minutes summing up from each of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and collecting data, it has to be for a purpose. So if it's just a random nonsense, it's not for a purpose and they shouldn't be doing it. It should say sex, that's a protected characteristic. And there's no such thing as gender assigned at birth. Also, when you look at the census, one of the issues is that's how they worded it on the census, and you ended up with a load of people in Tower Hamlets very confused, saying no, their gender wasn't the same as their sex assigned at birth. And Tower Hamlets is not a hotspot of gender reassignment.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for all the questions. I'm just going to give the panel a couple of minutes for any final comments or any summing up that you want to say. Starting with, sorry, I put you on the spot. Okay, don't start with you. Is there any points or anything additional that you wanted to add at this point?
Not really, just, there's going to be a lot of pushback, so it's just about making sure you're visible and that you're still speaking out locally and to politicians and making sure that our opinions are... We don't give up. We can't give up.
Okay, thank you. And Dee?
Just remember, sexual orientation is one of the protected characteristics. We're not hateful bigots. We're actually just ordinary people who want to get on with our lives. So, stand up for us, support us, and get some leaflets from us.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you for all those final points. Before concluding our Fringe, and I think there will be time to grab some food and drink before we go on the way out, can I first of all have a huge round of applause from Susan, Sarah and Dee for taking the time to join the panel tonight. I would also like to thank the staff at Leonardo Hotel and thank Labour Women's Declaration for organising this Fringe, and thank you for all taking the time to attend this evening. Please do drop by Labour Women's Declaration stall. It's at J19 in the exhibition hall if you've not already been there. Also have a look at their pop-up timetable for special events. You're more than welcome to join us, as I say, at the back for a quick drink and some carry on the conversation. And thank you all for taking the time to attend the Fringe, and let's keep fighting. Enjoy the end of the conference.